Students, this is the first video for class 11th, and in this video we are going to start the physiology part, human physiology. And in human physiology, first of all we are going to discuss the human digestive system. So let me start from the human digestive system. Human digestive system. Human digestive system, right? Now in human digestive system we will discuss this topic, human digestive system, into two parts, because we know that human digestive system is comprised of two parts. There is alimentary canal and there are various digestive glands which are associated with alimentary canal. Okay, so let's describe this. First we will discuss alimentary canal. We will discuss alimentary canal and then we will move on to the digestive glands which are associated with alimentary canal and produce the various types of secretions, enzymes for the process of digestion, right? Now, so far as alimentary canal is concerned, what is this alimentary canal? We can say this alimentary canal, it's a tube like structure. Rather it is an extended tube. It's an extended tube of approximately 8 to 10 meters in humans. It varies from the individual to individual, but approximately 8 to 10 meters, or we can say sometimes approximately 30 feet, right? So this alimentary canal, it's an extended tube of 8 to 10 meters or 30 feet long, and it starts from the mouth. Its beginning is from mouth, the first structure, mouth, and it ends at anus. It opens to the outside by anus, by this structure. So it starts from the mouth and ends at anus. And there are various structures present in the alimentary canal from mouth to anus that we need to explain one by one. Now, so far as this alimentary canal is concerned, which is starting from the mouth and ends at the anus, let's start from the first structure, that is mouth. So the first structure of the alimentary canal is mouth. Mouth is the first structure that we will explain. This mouth, it is also sometimes known as stoma. It is also known as stoma. Technically we can say sometimes it is known as stoma. Now what is this mouth? How we can define this mouth? Now this mouth, as you can see from the diagram as well, this mouth, it is a slit. It is a slit like structure. It is a slit like structure. It is a slit like structure, or you can say simply it is an aperture, opening. It's an aperture, right? It's a slit like structure, it's an aperture, and this slit like structure or this aperture, it is guarded by two movable lips. This structure is guarded by two movable lips. So let's say these are the movable lips, and there is an upper lip and there is a lower lip. So this mouth is guarded by two movable lips. Lips are sometimes also known as labia. Labium is singular. Labia is plural. So there are two movable lips which are guarding this aperture or this slit like structure, which is known as mouth or stoma. Now, so far as humans are concerned, there is difference in the two lips, upper and lower lips. In upper lip there is a groove, there is a fissure. In the upper lip there is a groove, there is a fissure. That fissure is known as philtrum. Philtrum. So the upper lip is having a groove there, and this groove in the upper lip is known as philtrum. Now, so this is what do we mean by mouth. So this mouth, it is also known as stoma. It is a slit-like structure, aperture, which is guarded by two movable lips, upper lip and lower lip. Upper lip is having a groove, that's known as philtrum. Now this mouth, it opens into a chamber, it opens into a cavity, and the cavity is known as buccal cavity, or it is also known as oral cavity, or simply you can say mouth cavity. So the mouth, which is a slit-like structure guarded by the two movable lips, opens into a wide chamber cavity. That chamber is known as buccal cavity or oral cavity. Now, this oral cavity, it is having a roof and it is having a floor as well. It's having a roof and it is having floor. So the roof of this buccal cavity, the roof of the buccal cavity is known as palate. The roof of the buccal cavity is known as palate, and the floor of the buccal cavity is the tongue, a muscular structure, very important structure, that's known as tongue. So this palate, it constitutes the roof of the buccal cavity, while the tongue constitutes the floor of the buccal cavity. Now, so far as this palate is concerned, this palate is made up of two parts. It is made up of two parts. One is known as hard palate, and another is known as soft palate. This is because of the nature of the two parts, which is different. This one is hard and this one is soft. So that is why this roof of the buccal cavity, which is known as palate, it is having an anterior part. That anterior part is known as hard palate, and the posterior part is known as soft palate. Now this hard palate is known as hard palate because it contains a bone. Because of the bone, it is hard. That bone is known as palatine bone. And because of the presence of this bony structure, it is hard. This is one of the bone of the skull. This is one of the bone of the face, right? And that forms the roof of the buccal cavity, constitutes the hard palate. There is no bone in the soft palate. That is why nature is soft, and it is known as soft palate. But on the soft palate, if you will see in your mouth, or in the mouth of other individual, you will see from the soft palate there hangs down a fleshy structure. From the soft palate hangs down a fleshy structure. That fleshy structure is known as vuvula. So you have to keep in mind, this is hard palate because of the palatine bone, because of the presence of the bone, while there is no bone in the soft palate. That is why it's known as soft palate. But from the soft palate hangs down a fleshy structure, that's known as vuvula, and it is very, very important for closing the internal nares. One is external nares, second is internal nares. These external nares, they open into the pharynx. They open into the pharynx via the internal nares. And when we swallow the food, there are chances sometimes that this food may enter into the nasal cavity, but generally it doesn't happen. Sometimes it happens in the in case of hiccup, but generally it doesn't happen. So because this uvula, which is a fleshy structure hanging down from the soft palate, it closes the internal nares at the time of swallowing. So it closes internal nares, internal nostrils, internal nares at the time of swallowing. So please try to understand what is the function of this uvula, which is a fleshy like structure. Sometimes seems very strange structure, very different type of structure from the posterior palate, soft palate. Its function is to close the internal nares at the time of swallowing. Clear? So this is hard palate and this is soft palate. Now on the hard palate there is one more thing. If you will see on the hard palate, you can feel with the help of your finger. If you can use your finger and then put on the hard palate anteriorly, you will see on the hard palate there are some ridges. There are some ridges on the hard palate. There are some ridges, and those ridges are known as palatine rugae. Palatine rugae, plural term. Palatine rugae. There are some grooves, right? And those grooves, they are very hard in nature, and these grooves on the hard palate are known as palatine rugae, and they also help in holding the food at the time of mastication. We first put the food inside the mouth cavity, then with the help of our teeth we masticate that, we grind that, we cut that food into pieces and then swallow. And before we swallow, we mix that food with saliva, right, and then that is swallowed. But at the time of chewing, at the time of this mastication, these rugae or these ridges of the hard palate, they help in holding the food, right? So this is one more thing on the hard palate. Now if you will see inside this buccal cavity or this oral cavity, the another structure that you will see is a space. There is a space between gums and cheeks. There is a space in the buccal cavity. There is a space between gums where the teeth are present, between gums and the cheek. Between gums and cheek there is a space, there is a small space. You can see you can feel inside the mouth there is a space, right? That space lies between the gums and the cheeks, and that's providing you can say some sort of accommodation for the occurrence of the teeth, because these teeth, they appear after the, right, first there are milk teeth, then there are permanent teeth, and they occur up to the adult age of the human, right? First the temporary teeth and then the permanent teeth, and they need space for their occurrence, for their formation, and the space is provided between the gums and the cheeks, and the space is known as vestibule. So this is one more thing in the buccal cavity, that is vestibule. What is vestibule? It is a space between the gums and the cheeks, right? Now, so another thing in the buccal cavity, there are various structures in the buccal cavity. One more thing in the buccal cavity, as I told you, that there is the floor of the buccal cavity, that is known as tongue. That's known as tongue. This is one more structure inside the buccal cavity that we need to understand. What is tongue? You can say it is also known as lingua. It is also known as lingua. We can call it lingua as well, language. Okay, so tongue or lingua. Now what is this tongue or lingua? You can see from the diagram as well, this structure, this tongue, it is a sensory, It is a sensory muscular structure. It is a sensory muscular structure made up of muscles. It is the muscular structure, and the muscles which constitute this tongue or this lingua are called striped muscles. They are striped, voluntary muscles. Striped muscles. So it is made up of striped muscles, right? And it is a very, very important sensory organ, because this is very, very important for the perception of the taste, different types of tastes, right? And it is also very, very important for the perception of touch, hotness, coolness of food, right? So this tongue, if we look at this tongue and try to understand its structure, this tongue, it is also divided into two parts. It is divided into two parts. If you can see from the diagram, if you look at the diagram, this tongue, it is actually made up of two parts. One is its anterior part and another is its posterior part. So this is its anterior portion, this is its anterior part of the tongue, and this one is the posterior part of the tongue, okay. Now this anterior part, it is present, most of it is present in the mouth, in the buccal cavity, in the oral cavity. So you can say that it is the oral part of the tongue. We can say it is the oral part of the tongue. And this one, this posterior part, it is lying in the pharynx. It is present in the pharynx. It is present in the pharynx part, throat part. So that is why you can say this is the pharyngeal part of the tongue. So the tongue is having anterior part which is lying inside the mouth, oral cavity. This is called the oral part of the tongue, and another part is pharyngeal part, that is lying in the pharynx. Now these two parts, if we see, these two parts are divided. There is division, there is demarcation between these two parts, and these two parts are divided by a sulcus, by a V-shaped groove. This is a V-shaped groove, and this V-shaped groove is known as sulcus terminalis. So the two parts of the tongue, that is the oral part and the pharyngeal part, are divided by means of this V-shaped groove, and this V-shaped groove is known as sulcus terminalis. And at the apex of this sulcus terminalis, that means this portion here, at the apex of this sulcus terminalis, there is a pore, there is an embryonic remnant, and this pore is known as foramen cecum. Many structures develop from this region at the time of organogenesis, at the time of formation of different organs of the mouth and head, right? So anyways, this is an embryonic structure, right? This foramen cecum and this sulcus terminalis. So what I mean, actually, this oral part of the tongue, it is, and this pharyngeal part of the tongue, these two parts are divided by means of a V-shaped groove. That V-shaped groove is known as sulcus terminalis, and at the apex of this sulcus terminalis there is a pore, right? And that pore is known as foramen cecum. Now if we see on the oral part of the tongue, there are various types of ridges again. There are different types of ridges. Some are smaller, some are larger, and they are present on the different portions of the tongue. Now these ridges, different types of ridges on the oral part of the tongue are known as papillae. These are known as papillae. So one more thing, on the surface of the tongue is papillae. Papilla is singular, papillae is plural. Since these ridges or these raised structures are present on the tongue, we can name them lingual papillae. And these lingual papillae are also of various types. They are of different types on the surface of the tongue. For example, if we see here at the posterior region of the tongue, just below the sulcus terminalis, again there is a row of papillae, and this row of papillae is known as circumvallate papillae. First and the largest papillae on the surface of the tongue are known as circumvallate papillae. Circumvallate papillae. These are circular in shape. These are round in shape. That is why circumvallate papillae. And let me tell you, these are the large papillae, large structures, large papillae. They are the large papillae in the form of a V-shaped row just below the sulcus terminalis, which is a structure dividing the oral part of the tongue from the pharyngeal part. And there are various types of taste buds on these circumvallate papillae. Approximately the number of taste buds in the circumvallate papillae, which are lying here, are approximately 200 taste buds. 200 taste buds. Buds are present in different types of circumvallate papillae. So the first type of structures present on the oral part of the tongue are known as, yes, circumvallate papillae. Now another type of rigid structures on the surface of the tongue are known as folate. Another type of papillae are known as folate papillae. Folate papillae. These folate papillae, folate means they are leaf shaped. They are leaf shaped papillae on the surface of the tongue, right? Initially they are present on the human tongue. Initially these folate papillae are present on the human tongue at the time of infancy, but later they are reduced, they are absent, we can say. They are reduced, they are absent on the human tongue. If you will see inside your books, you will see that the folate papillae are absent on the human tongue. But if you will see in some other books, for example, some histological books, medical histology books, you will see these folate papillae are present they are first present on the surface of the human tongue, later they are absent. In the adult life of the human, these are altogether absent on the human tongue, folate papillae. So you have to keep in mind, if you will be asked which type of papillae are absent on the human tongue, so the type of papillae which are absent on the human tongue are these folate papillae. Now another kind of papillae on the surface of the tongue, oral part of the tongue, are known as filiform papillae. Filiform papillae, these are conical shaped. These are conical shaped, cone shaped papillae, and they are the most numerous. That is, their number is too much on the surface of the tongue. Among these different types of papillae, they are more in number, numerous. They are more in number, that is filiform papillae, and that is why these filiform papillae, you will see these on the surface of the tongue everywhere. They are present throughout the oral surface of the tongue, everywhere on the surface of the tongue. And let me tell you one thing, these are the smallest. So far as size is concerned, they are the smallest papillae on the surface of tongue. They are the smallest papillae on the surface of tongue. One more thing. And one more thing regarding these filiform papillae, they are without taste buds. They do not have taste buds inside them. They are without taste buds. So filiform papillae do not contain the taste buds. They are without taste buds. Without. So you have to answer the question if you will be asked which type of papillae are without taste buds. So the type of papillae they are without taste buds, which are without taste buds, are the same filiform papillae, which are so many in number, numerous on the surface of the tongue, right? Now although they do not contain the taste buds for the various types of taste, for example sweet, bitter, salt, so forth and so on. However, these do have the functions because they are tactile in function. They do not contain the taste buds, they are without taste buds, but they are tactile in function. That means they can receive the sensations of touch, they can perceive the sensations of touch, they are touch receptors, these filiform papillae, right? Now lastly, on the surface of the tongue, that is a fourth type of papillae. There is one more kind of papillae on the surface of human tongue. On the surface of human tongue, there is one more type of papillae which are generally located on the tip of the tongue, at the tip of the tongue. And these papillae are mushroom shaped papillae, and that is why these are called as fungiform. These are known as fungiform papillae. Fungiform papillae. Fungiform papillae, mushroom shaped papillae, and they do have the many taste buds in them. Approximately in each fungiform papillae there are 10 taste buds, not as much as we have seen inside the circumvallate papillae, but there are also taste buds inside the fungiform papillae. Now, so we have discussed the oral part of the tongue, and what we discussed on the oral part of the tongue, there are some raised structures, there are some papillae, and these papillae are also of various types. Now what are the various types of papillae? We discussed the first one, they are the largest in size, circumvallate papillae. Then we have the second, that is the foliate papillae, which is generally absent on the surface of the human tongue. Then the third one is filiform papillae, which are smallest and without the taste buds. And the lastly we discussed the fungiform papillae, which are mushroom shaped papillae and contain taste buds. They have taste buds in them, 10 taste buds in each fungiform papillae. Now on the pharyngeal part, what lies on the pharyngeal part? On the pharyngeal part there are also some structures which do not help in the process of digestion, but there are some structures located on the pharyngeal part of the tongue, and these structures are called as tonsils. These are known as tonsils. There are various types of tonsils. So far as the buccal cavity and the pharynx is concerned, various types of tonsils are there, but these are the tonsils on the surface of the tongue, on the posterior surface of the tongue. So you can call them, these are lingual. You can say these are lingual tonsils. They are lingual tonsils. And what do you mean by tonsils? What are tonsils actually? These tonsils are actually the lymphoid. These are lymphoid tissues. They are lymphoid tissues. They contain lymph, not blood. They contain lymph, and in the lymph, right, in the lymph there are various types of lymphocytes, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. B lymphocytes produce various types of antibodies. T lymphocytes are also of various types, and they provide a type of immunity. They are the components of the immune system. The various types of cells, immune cells present in the lymphoid tissue. The lymphoid tissue on the surface of the tongue, posterior surface of the tongue, known as lingual tonsils. So this is the different types of structures which are present on the oral surface of the tongue and on the pharyngeal surface of the tongue. Now the question is how this tongue is held, how it is fixed inside the oral cavity. So far as it is attachment inside the oral cavity is concerned. So far as the attachments are concerned, right, this tongue, posteriorly this tongue, how it is fixed inside the oral cavity, in the buccal cavity, it is posteriorly connected with the soft palate. It is attached to the soft palate, right? This tongue, it is attached posteriorly with the soft palate by means of attachment, right? and that attachment is known as lingual frenulum. So this is the one type of connection with the help of which the tongue is fixed inside the oral cavity, and this attachment is known as lingual frenulum, with the help of which the tongue is attached to the soft palate. Second, it is muscular in nature. There are various muscle fibers in it, stripped muscle fibers are there, and with the help of these muscle fibers, this tongue is also attached to the hyoid bone. The tongue is also attached to the hyoid bone by means of muscle fibers. It is muscle fibers are attached to the bone, and what is the bone to which it is connected is hyoid bone. That is why this hyoid bone, it is also known as tongue. It is known as tongue bone. Where it is located? This tongue bone is located here, just above the larynx, just above the voice box, right? That is the uppermost part of the trachea where the voice box is present, right? In males we sometimes call Adam's apple, that is larynx, right? And its various cartilages that we will discuss in the respiratory part. But there is a bone also which is very important bone, that's actually the bone of the skull, but that is located outside the skull here above the trachea, and that bone above the trachea is known as hyoid bone, to which this tongue is posteriorly connected by means of its different muscle fibers. So you have to understand that this tongue is fixed inside the oral cavity by means of lingual frenulum with the soft palate, and it is also attached to a bone here, right? That bone is known as hyoid bone, or it is also known as tongue bone, right? So this is what about the structure of the tongue. But here we have to understand one more thing. What do we mean by the taste buds? What are taste buds actually? As I told you that these taste buds, which actually receive the various types of chemical compounds in the food, and then the interpretation occurs inside the brain actually, but so far as receptors are concerned, they are present in these different types of papillae, and these receptors, chemoreceptors, which perceive the various chemical sensations of the food, are known as taste buds. So what do you mean by taste buds? This is my next point. What are taste buds? Actually, these taste buds are actually made up of group of various cells. The taste bud is actually made up of group of various cells. Different types of cells are there, and if we see the different types of cells inside the taste buds, you will come to know that there are only three types of cell types. There are various types of cells, and the type, I mean how many types? There are only three types of cells in a taste bud. A taste bud is made up of three different types of cells. What I mean, a taste bud is made up of three different types of cells. Now a taste bud is like an oval structure. It's an oval structure with an upper surface and with a lower surface. So a taste bud is like this. For example, this is the diagram, this is the structure of the taste bud, right? So this surface, it opens at the surface of the tongue. This surface is on the tongue, and now this is its lower surface, right? Now here on its upper surface, on the upper surface of the taste bud, there is a pore. That pore is known as taste pore, through which the different chemicals which are present in the food are absorbed by the taste bud. So the different types of chemicals, right, whether they are acidic or basic, neutral, whatever is present in the food, that is absorbed on this surface where this taste pore is present, and on this side where the taste pore is present, there are many microvilli. For the absorption, there are many microvilli, right? Now, so far as the type of cells are concerned, as I told you, there are three types of cells inside a taste bud. Now, the first type of cell is a gustatory cell, supindal shaped cell, a supindal shaped cell, that is known as gustatory cell. Gustatory cell. This is actually the neurosensory cell. This is actually the receptor cell, which is receiving the different types of tastes, which is receiving the different types of chemicals from the food, right? Now, the other type of cell which is helping, which is supporting this neurosensory cell, which is providing the nourishment and the attachment to this gustatory cell, this receptor cell, the another type of cell that's also supindal shaped cell is known as supporting cell, as the name, supporting cell. So this is the second type of cell in the taste bud. First is gustatory cell, a neurosensory cell, which is actually receiving the different types of chemicals from the food. Another is supporting cell, and there are some other cells at the lower surface of this taste bud, and these different cells at the lower surface of the taste bud are known as basal cells. These are known as basal cells. They are actually the stem cells. Stem cells. And you know that what is the function of the stem cells? Whenever these cells get damaged because of damage, because of injury, whatever, right? So whenever these two cells, gustatory cells and the supporting cells, get damaged, these basal cells, stem cells, they provide the other cells. They are responsible for the repairment. They are responsible for the repairing of the taste bud. That is why they are there. They are undifferentiated cells. You know, stem cells means undifferentiated cells. So these undifferentiated cells, they provide these gustatory cells and supporting cells when these cells get damaged, right? And now, from this lower surface, there is a nerve fiber that is running towards the brain. There is a nerve fiber which join the two cranial nerves. The nerve fiber which is actually connected with this cell, that is gustatory cell, neurosensory cell, and this nerve fiber, it joins, right? It run via the facial nerve. This is one of the cranial nerve which is going towards the brain, facial nerve, and there is another nerve that is known as glossopharyngeal nerve, right? So the nerve fiber from this end, it joins the facial nerve and the glossopharyngeal nerve. These are the two cranial nerves which go towards the temporal lobes of the brain, where the actual perception of the taste occurs, whether it is, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, or any other taste, right? So this is actually the structure of the taste bud. So what is taste bud? Taste bud is actually made up of group of cells. There are different types of cells, and generally there are three types of cells in a taste bud, right? And these three different types of cells in the taste bud are gustatory cells, number one, that's one of the most important cell, and another is supporting cell, and third one is basal cells. Now the neurosensory cells, the receptor cells, are these gustatory cells which are having the microvilli on the one side and the nerve fiber on the other side. Another cell that is supporting to this, that is providing the support to this gustatory cell, is known as supporting cell. And there are also some basal cells which are stem cells, which are undifferentiated cells, which provide the repairment to this taste bud whenever there is any damage, right? And approximately on the human tongue, there are 10,000. Approximately on the human tongue, there are 10,000 taste buds, right? There are approximately 10,000 taste buds on the surface of the tongue, but these taste buds are present in different types of papillae, circumvallate papillae and fungiform papillae, right? Now, on the basis of the taste, where the different tastes are perceived on the surface of the tongue, we sometimes divide this tongue into different regions. On the basis of the perception of different tastes which are taking place at the various regions of the tongue, we sometimes divide this tongue in different regions. For example, this is the anterior region, this is, here we have the perception of the sweet taste, sweet. This is the anterior but lateral sides, on the right and left side, anterior-lateral. This is what? This is salt here, and here we have the posterior-lateral, posterior but on the right and the left side, posterior-lateral. This is the swirl taste here, and lastly, that is the posterior part of the tongue. This posterior part of the tongue, it receives the taste of bitter taste. So these are the different regions of the tongue which receive the different tastes: sweet, anterior, then we have the salt, anterior-lateral, then we have the swirl taste, right, that's posterior-lateral, and the posterior surface of the tongue that is receiving the bitter taste. So these are the various regions of the tongue on the basis of taste, right? So this is all about the one more structure that is lying inside the buccal cavity, present inside the buccal cavity, that's known as tongue, right? Now we have another structure in the buccal cavity that we have to discuss, we have to explain, that is teeth. Teeth are very, very important structures in the buccal cavity. There are teeth on the upper jaw, there are teeth on the lower jaw, right? And in an adult human there are 32 teeth, right? And in the baby there are 20 teeth. The first set, that is known as milk teeth or deciduous teeth, temporary teeth, and the another set that erupts after the 6 years onwards, and that is known as permanent teeth, which are 32 in number. So we have to discuss the various characteristics of these teeth in the buccal cavity. So what are the various characters? First, let me tell you some conditions about the teeth, then I will discuss the structure and composition of a tooth, human tooth. So far as the characters are concerned, there are various characters, but some important characters of the human teeth are, so let me write here first, teeth, right? So what are the various features? Number one, human teeth are thecodont. Human teeth are thecodont. Thecodont means the teeth are embedded in the jaw sockets. Teeth are embedded in jaw sockets. Jaw is actually the bony portion of the jaw, where there are some sockets in which the teeth are fixed, embedded, and these jaw sockets are known as alveoli. Singular is alveolus. I am not talking about the lung alveoli, I am talking about the jaw sockets. Jaw sockets are also known as alveoli, singular is alveolus, and these teeth are embedded or fixed inside the jaw sockets, right? And this condition where the teeth are fixed in the jaw sockets, that means if we have to remove a tooth from the jaw, we have to break the connections, right? We have to remove it from the jaw socket, right? And we can sometimes artificially fix another tooth at the same socket, in the same socket, that's known as alveolus. Anyways, so this condition where the teeth are embedded in the jaw sockets is known as thecodont. Another condition is that teeth, there are two sets of teeth. First, the temporary teeth, right, which erupt after the 6 years, and then after 6 years the new the permanent teeth came into place. The temporary teeth are replaced by the permanent teeth, right? So first there is one set, then there is another set, right? So since teeth occur twice in the lifetime of the human, so this condition is known as Diphyodont. 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 That means there are two sets. There are two sets of teeth. There are two sets of teeth. The first teeth that occur in the humans, that are first present in the humans after the 6 months of the baby, right? The teeth starts appearing in the mouth cavity, oral cavity, and that first set of teeth are known as the milk teeth or temporary teeth. Milk teeth or temporary teeth, or these are also known as deciduous teeth because they fall. Deciduous means they fall. Deciduous teeth, after some time they fall, and then new teeth appear in the buccal cavity. Anyways, so the first set is milk teeth or deciduous teeth. The second that which replace the milk teeth or deciduous teeth are permanent teeth, successors. Permanent teeth. Permanent teeth. Permanent teeth. And here I would like to tell you that these milk teeth are only 20 in number. These are 20 in number, and so far as permanent teeth are concerned, which are present throughout the life of the individual, right? No doubt in the old life, I mean advanced life, they also fall, right? They get damaged, right? But these permanent teeth in most of the human individuals are 32 in number. 32 in number, right? Now, so this is another condition that's known as diphyodont. Diphyodont. One more thing is that the teeth in the human buccal cavity in humans, right? The teeth are not similar. So far as their morphology is concerned, external morphology is concerned, the teeth are not same. Rather, there are different types of teeth, and this condition where the different types of teeth are present in the buccal cavity, in the oral cavity, this condition is known as heterodont. Heterodont. That means different type of teeth are present in the oral cavity. Different type of teeth are present in the oral cavity, and you know that there are 4 types of teeth in the oral cavity. The first, that is incisors. Then we have the canines. Then we have the premolars, and lastly we have the molars. So these are the 4 different types of teeth present in the buccal cavity, in the jaws, upper jaw and the lower jaw. This incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Now, this condition where there are different types of teeth in the oral cavity, buccal cavity, this is known as heterodont condition. And if we compare the human teeth with some other animals, for example with some carnivores, right, their ridges, their pointed ends are not so sharp as we see in, for example, carnivores which feed on flesh, right, flesh of other animals. So this condition where the ridges, where the points of the teeth are not so sharp, this condition is also known as bonodont. That means the cusps means pointed ends of the teeth. Cusps are not sharp. Cusps are not sharp. Bonodont condition. So these are some conditions, features. So far as the human teeth are concerned, dentition is concerned, we have the thecodont, where the teeth are fixed in the jaw sockets, alveolus. Teeth occur twice in the lifetime. First, that is temporary teeth, first set, then the permanent teeth, right? And another condition is teeth are of different types, incisors, canines, premolars and molars. The condition is known as heterodont, and the points of the teeth are not so sharp as in other animals, so this condition is known as bonodont. I am talking about in humans. There are some other conditions, different conditions in some other animals, right? So this is these are the various characters of teeth. Now so far as the structure of the tooth is concerned, we will discuss the structure of the tooth, its various components, right? Its composition as well, that we will discuss in the next class, in the next video. Thank you for watching, right? If there is any query, any clarification, you can contact, and you can make us aware about your query and clarification, and we will give you the answer. Thank you.